Hello, everybody. It is Marcia and Michelle, and we are back for another ghostly gab and
Random
random thoughts.
thoughts.
And you may be able to hear my dog in the background. He's out in the yard. He's got a possum that he's playing with.
Oh,
So we may have the bark
nice.
going on all night. So that's all right, though. That's all right. I want to welcome you all to this evening's session. We're going to be answering some questions from folks who are not typically into the paranormal. Maybe they're skeptical. Maybe they've got a little bit of fear. Not our normal ghost hunting folks. So
Yes.
it's going to be interesting. I don't know what the questions are. Michelle has been gathering these questions. So we thought tonight might just be a good time to just chat about them. I'm a little
Yes. And I can tell you that we received questions from multiple states.
multiple states
Yes.
and multiple types of folks too. We've got
Yes.
non-believers, we've got skeptics, we've got people that have just a passing interest in it.
And others that feel like, nope, but I'll give you some questions.
Yes, yes, yes. So, hello, Bev. Hi, Linda. I see you. For the rest of you that are on, if you'll just say hey in the chat so we know who's hanging out with us tonight. And again, we really appreciate you hanging out with us on a Friday night. There's so many other things you could do. We are trying something a little bit different tonight, technology-wise. You're going to hear in the background some music, some mood music. We figured we'd kind of make it sound like we were at a lounge. Get yourself a beverage, just chit chatting with friends. If it's distracting and y'all don't like it, just let us know in the chat that you want us to turn it off. We can probably figure out how to do that.
Yeah, I think we can figure it out.
Yeah, we can probably figure it out. Um, I want to say thanks to our military and our men and women in blue. Without you keeping us safe, maintaining our freedoms, we wouldn't be able to be hanging out here on a Friday night talking about all things paranormal. We know the sacrifice you make. We know the sacrifice your family makes. Know that we are with you. You're in our prayers and our thoughts all of the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And again, our topic this evening, we're just going to be talking about some random questions that have come in from folks. Believers, non-believers, skeptics. I don't know what the questions are. I may be speechless. I may be speechless. There may be a question that stumps me because I'm not speechless often, but I might get speechless this evening. Before we get into the topic though, and then rolling on through everything, I just want to remind y'all that I don't know about where you all are, but here in mid-Missouri today, it was a little bit on the chilly side. A little bit on the chilly side. And I want to encourage you to purchase a fabulous Boo Crew hoodie. Michelle threw the QR code up there on the bottom of the screen. They're fabulous, designed them myself. They're soft, they're warm, they wash well. So if you don't want to be cold this winter when you're going out ghost hunting, snag yourself a hoodie. Throughout the session today, or tonight, I guess I should say, Michelle will keep a QR code up in the corner. If you get to thinking about it and you think, you know what, I think I'd love to have one of those shirts, you'll be able to buy one. Okay, what have we done in September, Michelle? September, we had Hamilton Primary School. We went to their festival. We hosted a public ghost hunt for them. They asked us to come in and give a ghost tour overnight for some of the folks that were there at the festival as a fundraiser for the school. I just want to tell you folks, if you've never been to the Hamilton Primary School in Otterville, Illinois, it is worth going to check out, even if you don't ghost hunt. The history of that school is amazing.
Yes.
It is amazing. I'll just briefly tell you the story before we get into our questions. But Dr. Hamilton, um, when he died, he was from Otterville, and he had freed his slaves. He was originally from Louisiana, but when he came up north, he freed his slaves. Well, some of them wanted to stay with him, so they worked his farm and whatever. When he died, and I want to say, Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, it was like in the 1830s that he died. He left
37? I
Yeah,
don't know.
1830s. He left $4,000, which at that time was a boatload of money, to build a school for Otterville. It was the first school in Otterville. And every child was to attend that school, right? That was a stipulation. He didn't want any kids left behind. It was the first integrated school in the United States. And what makes it even more amazing is that his enslaved man, I guess you want to call him, George Washington Hamilton, is the one that actually had it built and put up a huge monument to him. So that speaks very, very highly of Dr. Hamilton and how well he was thought of. So anyway, that's the kind of the backstory behind the school. It's small. It's only got 4 rooms. It's got 2 down, 2 on the second floor. It's got a full basement. It's part of the Underground Railroad as well. Very much worth the trip to little Otterville, Illinois to check it out. All right. Our topic. Are you ready? You ready for this, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we've got a boatload of questions. I understand from Michelle. We'll get through as many as we can get through, and then leave the others for, I guess, another one. All right.
You betcha.
All right.
You ready? And if along the way, anybody that's out there watching, if something triggers a question that you would like answered, throw them in the chat. We'll go ahead and grab those as well.
All right.
So, the first question.
Yes.
Can anyone sense paranormal activity? Oh my gosh, first question?
No, well, I'm going to say yes. Yes, because we all have that ability. It's just how have we practiced it and how prevalent is it? But yes, everyone can sense paranormal activity. That's my take on it. What's your take?
Okay. I agree. I think they may not consider it paranormal activity. I think it's just their intuition or their gut feeling or all of that kind of rolls together, which kind of, since you said yes, how can people sense it?
Well, a lot of times folks get that, the hair on the back of the neck stands up. And a lot of folks that are skeptical will say that to me. I've got cold chills or the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I knew something was happening, right? So I think that's the more typical way that people can sense them.
Okay.
What's your thought?
Yeah, Linda, I think that's true. That deja vu thought or deja vu feeling. You can't spell it. I can't say it. It's okay. I think that's also part of it as well. We did have a question come in. I'm going to put it up on the screen for you to see there.
Why did different spirits show up each time you return to a location? I believe, and this is my personal thought, Michelle may have a different one, but I believe that the spirits show up because they have something to say, or because we call them, we specifically call them, right? So if we go to a place, like the Hamilton School, when we first went to the Hamilton School, the spirits that showed up there were connected to the Underground Railroad because they had something to say, right? They wanted to be heard. This last time that we went, those spirits had been heard. So now we have a new group that just wanted to be heard. That's my personal feeling on it. The spirits have something to say. They have a story to tell. They want to be heard. They don't want to be forgotten.
And I agree with that, but I also believe that energy is ever flowing.
Absolutely.
So the energy that's there one day may not be there the next time. Those same group of people may not be there from one point to another.
Right.
So
Just
I
like
think
going-
that plays into it.
Just like going into your local bar. You might have the Friday night crowd. You might have the Saturday night crowd. I'm just saying.
So what makes something paranormal?
I don't know that I understand that question.
Well, and I was trying to get clarity on that. And so I think what they were trying to say is, as a skeptic,
Uh-huh.
things happen. Is it just because they can't be explained, so it's easily to show paranormal? Say that it's paranormal.
Well, and that's, yes, and that is a misconception because paranormal actually means out of the normal. It doesn't mean ghosts and spirits and haunting. It means something we can't explain, something that's out of the normal, right? So if we have something happen that has no logical explanation for it, it may not be a ghost or a spirit, but it's something we can't explain. We have no rational explanation for.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say that somewhere down the road, because we see this in science today, where, 10 years ago, they thought there were no black holes, right? Black holes didn't exist. Well, now black holes exist, right? So 10 years ago, when we saw a black hole or what we thought was a portal, that's paranormal because it's out of the normal. Those things don't exist scientifically. But now they do. So now it's like, okay, we know what causes that. We have an explanation for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is kind of interesting that you're interchanging the words ghost and spirit, because the people that I asked about this or gave their input on this, one set of people use spirit, one set used ghost. Some called it paranormal activity, some said ghost hunting. So it's kind of neat that we see that. And so for those of you that have just joined since we started, we're just asking random questions. Marsha has no idea what they are. If you'd like to add a question, just throw it in the chat. So our next question: are there dangers involved with paranormal activity?
Absolutely.
What
Yes.
are they?
Absolutely. Well, you can't quantify it. You can't
Okay.
quantify it. Again, I believe there are things that we don't understand. And because we don't understand them, we don't understand the repercussions of interacting with them, if that makes sense. Right. And I do see bats.
Well, and then I want to look at it from a different point of view of, what are some of the dangers involved is being aware of your surroundings, because sometimes it's not the quote unquote spooky, it's the man-made stuff, how
Absolutely.
safe is the location you're at, how busy is the area around there. So, although we talk about paranormal activity and ghost hunting, that's all part of it as well. Okay.
All right. I'm ready.
Are there friendly and not so friendly ghosts?
I am going to say that there are friendly and negative, because when you transition over, however you were in life is how you are in death. So if you weren't a nice person in life, you're not going to be a nice person in death, right? Because we're all energy. Until you actually make it all the way over into the light, you've got this whole mix of personalities still.
Okay. So you had mentioned about us transferring over to spirit. Have you experienced non-human spirits like animals?
We have. We experienced the Cocker Spaniel at the jail, at the Franklin jail in Iowa. Yeah, in the hallway.
Okay. And Dawn has decided she's going to be a trickster.
Which would not surprise me.
No.
Would not surprise me a bit.
So another question that was, can spirits hurt you?
I do not believe that spirits can physically hurt you because they're energy. They have no mass. That being said, they can psychologically they can psychologically injure you. They can frighten you to the point where you hurt yourself. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Trying to escape, or, running away and you fall down the stairs, whatever the case may be. I know there are claims of poltergeist activity, which poltergeist activity is a little bit different, but where things are being thrown and knocked over and things like that that can physically injure you. But spirits and ghosts, they have no mass to them. They have no mass.
Okay. And then we had the draining. Question is no scratches or slaps.
Well, now, Linda, that's a good point because that's happened to me. That's happened to me. So I don't know how I classify that, though. And I'm thinking about, Michelle, the time at the old farmhouse in Waynesville,
Yeah.
right? It hit me upside the head.
Oh, yeah.
You
But
know?
it doesn't necessarily mean they're malicious or anything like that. It could have
No.
been just to get the attention, the pinching, because we had that happen
We've
at,
had pinching. We've had pinching a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, we've had
So
pinching a lot.
it's not necessarily hurting you, and maybe more of getting your attention.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to kill you. I really don't. I'm sorry, he can't get his green monkey. That's Clyde. He can't get his green monkey. I don't know.
Okay. So let me see here. Which one do we want to go to next?
And Linda, or Bev, I completely agree. No running at our age. That's dangerous. When they scare you to the point where you run, or startle you in the case of what happened to me at Randolph County, they can make you hurt yourself.
Yes. Yes. They're reactive.
Yes.
Do you prefer to hunt personal properties or historical ones?
Historical.
Why?
Historical. Well, I'm not really sure. I enjoy the history, right? I enjoy the history of the location. I enjoy talking to the other side about their experiences in a location. Typically, when we hunt private homes, we're there because the family is grieving, and we're there for a specific purpose, like to help them with the grieving process or to help them make connection with their loved ones, right? Hunting a historical location opens up so many more possibilities of so many more different spirits coming through and talking about their experiences there.
Okay. That makes sense. And plus there's, just history in the name of in the name, there's the potential of having so much more there, and you have more of especially if it's a well-known historical place, be able to do background check on it where you don't necessarily have that opportunity with private homes and
you
such.
You can't validate what you're finding.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
So, and I know we've touched on this in another Ghostly Gab, but it's one of the questions I wanted to make sure that we brought up is what kind of equipment is used to contact spirits?
Well, we've got a ton of equipment, but you don't need that. Spirits talk typically, they will communicate with you telepathically. You may hear them audibly speak. You may catch them on a recorder. We have all kinds of different communication devices and recording equipment, but you don't need any of that. We have heard the spirits speak to us out loud at places, right? We can't understand what they're saying, but we do hear them speak to us.
Okay. Do you have a favorite piece of equipment to contact?
I am going to say that my favorite is probably our parabolic recorder because it has zero internal white noise. So what it picks up is actually noises and voices that it hears, that the machine hears, where some of our like older recorders, they've got internal noise. That's just the way it is. And sometimes that can sound like voices. But our parabolic, if we hear something on that, then we've caught something. And that's probably my favorite because it eliminates the doubt, right? It eliminates, could it be just the internal white noise I'm hearing?
Gotcha.
Okay,
Whoops.
sorry.
Hi, Clyde.
He's really upset about his green monkey. But Caitlin, you're absolutely right. We have had some of our best experiences with no equipment. We have seen apparitions, we've interacted with them. So you are absolutely right.
And kind of looking at, like you said, the older recorders have some white noise. The parabolic doesn't have any. It's kind of that technology has advanced. And so one of the questions was, do you use any phone apps during your hunts?
We do. We do. We've got a static noise. I've got an app that just generates white noise because I can hear them better if I'm focused on that white noise than if it's peaceful and quiet. When I've got other people around me, it's harder for me to hear the spirits. That internal or that white noise that's being generated kind of helps me focus, if that makes sense. It focuses my line of sight. And I know that's kind of crazy because I'm listening to it, but it focuses my line of sight so that my ears are more aware of what's. I know it sounds crazy. But that's as the white noise is being generated, my eyes are closing and it's like, okay, I'm hearing this white noise. I'm blocking everything else out. All of a sudden, I can hear the voices clear. So.
And there's a few other apps that we use, but we're not going to share them out there just because.
Well, they're all spirit box apps.
Yeah.
They all work different ways,
Yeah. And what do we have here?
Turn down the volume of the radio to see the road. You betcha.
Yeah.
You betcha.
Yeah. To find that house number, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see here. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing good. Let's see. What is the funniest story you can remember from a hunt?
Well, it really, the funniest story that I have wasn't from actually it was from a hunt, but it wasn't during the hunt. I've got a Scottish friend, Jim Oakes. He's got a very heavy Scottish accent. And we had hunted Pythian Castle. And bless his heart, the poor man, because of his accent, he can't say pecans or pecans, however you want to pronounce it. He pronounces it pekins. So after we had hunted that Pythian Castle, we had gone to Waffle House, and he wanted some pecan pancakes. And the waitress couldn't understand what he was saying because he kept saying he wanted some pecan pancakes. It was hysterical. You would have had to be there, but that's got to be the funniest one because that poor waitress was like, you know what? Do I need to get the manager? And I'm like, no. This is what he's trying to say. He also had a very heavy accent with raspberry tea. So we had to kind of translate raspberry tea for him too. Although he's fluent in English because he lives here, but his accent's just really heavy. And that's probably the funniest story that's ever, because that one was, yeah, we were rolling on that one. What about you, Michelle? Do you have a funny one?
Well, I'm not sure that.
Marsha running was not funny. It might have been for you guys on the other end, but it was not funny on my end.
Mine, I think, is probably looking back now since it was me. And it was at the private hunt that we did at the house with the cats. And that cat would not let me go by the stairs. And I forgot the camera was there, and all of you guys are in the boo-mobile just.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
later on, when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh.
it had you trapped on the stairs. But I will tell you too, that now that you mentioned that, we did have that incident that happened at the Paulding jail with the bat. Me and Bev and Becky were in the tunnels, and we had put a recorder in the tunnel. And when we went to get it, Bev literally had her hand on the recorder when we saw the bat come at us. And of course, I screamed like a little girl and ran. And Becky was right behind me, and Bev was too. And she didn't think to pick up the recorder. So she had to go back in. And if you can imagine her, because, we're in the tunnels, she's got her jacket up over her head like this, just kind of like the great outdoors, with the lampshade on the head and stuff, going back in. That was pretty hysterical too.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Sorry. Hush.
And you've got to admit, Bev, we screamed and ran like little girls. We broke rule number 1.
Well, that rule wasn't in effect yet.
True, Kayla. The bats get us. They get us every time. Every time.
All right. Yeah. So we got to think about that sometimes. If you could hunt, let's think of if money wasn't an issue,
Okay.
If you could hunt any property in the world, where would it be?
I think it'd be the Tower of London.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
sorry.
think about the history.
Yeah. Actually had an opportunity to visit that. My daughter and I did with my mother-in-law. Oh, it's been many years ago now. But they actually, for those that have not been there, they have the beefeaters that actually take you on the tour. And let me tell you, those hallways and such are very narrow. But it was very cool. It was very cool. We didn't do any type of a ghost hunt or anything, but it was very cool.
Yeah.
So let's see. Anywhere, it would have to be overseas somewhere, just because they're so much older.
Yes.
And I do like that historical fact. Yes, Kayla, anywhere in the UK. Westminster was awesome. It was not what I expected. I don't know what I had in my mind, but that's another place that I think would be awesome to hunt.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a little story about Westminster Abbey that has nothing to do with ghost hunting. Do you know that my ancestor, my 10th great grandfather, is buried in the courtyard of Westminster Abbey?
Really?
Uh-huh. He was a reverend.
Oh, cool.
Yes, he was a reverend. He was the minister to the king.
Very cool.
I'm just going to say. We dropped pretty far from that tree, but I'm just going to say.
Okay, let's see here. I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to pull down this Boo merchandise QR code. Let's see, did it come? Okay.
Yeah,
because we're going to give it a few minutes, and there's others ways to support us as well. And that would be let me see if I can get it here. We have the music playing in the background. I guess I don't need to do that.
You don't need to be humming. No.
I don't need to be humming. But this is another way to buy a cup of coffee. We're just going to take a quick moment because, as I don't know if you all noticed, but I noticed that this last year we've been kind of picking up our pace and having more regular hunts. which is awesome. We're finding new locations and can't wait to get next year's calendar set up and moving. And so, we know you all enjoy the hunts with us. And if you'd like to contribute, feel free. And I'll throw this one up in the top corner for
And if
anybody
not-
that's interested.
if
And if
not,
not, that's great. That's okay.
Perfectly fine too. Just share us out on your social media.
Absolutely. But that way, if you're wondering, why did it go away and why did it come back? They're different.
Yeah, Kayla, the Buckingham Palace. I mean, oh my God, think of the history in that place.
Yeah.
We could stay there for weeks.
Oh, absolutely. And Windsor Castle's another one.
Yes.
And we actually got to go in there at the time simply because the Queen was not in residence at the time. So, yes, very awesome. Okay. Let's see. Have you ever left a hunt disappointed with the results of that hunt at the time?
Yes. We have been to a location that wasn't what it was said to be. The story was made up. Bev, you know which one I'm talking about out there in Felicity. When we got there, we realized that the history that we had been told by the folks that are running the place wasn't what it was supposed to be.
It wasn't as it was portrayed to be.
It was, yes. And we caught absolutely nothing, which sometimes we don't. I mean, spirits don't come out on cue, right? Sometimes, I mean, there's been a lot of places we've gone where we haven't caught anything, but I've had other people I know in the paranormal community go to those same places and catch lots of, legitimate stuff. This one particular location was a new location.
Mm-hmm.
And they made the story up. And that was disappointing. Not that we didn't catch anything, but that we weren't told the truth.
Yeah. And the only other thing I say is that I think it would be more it would be disappointed, but frustrating as well when we do go to some of these locations for their history and then not able to find the history.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a little frustrating, not necessarily disappointed because the hunt itself went well, but then trying to go back and validate.
Yeah.
I think that's the frustrating part.
Yeah.
Sorry. Kilo Hana, you got to wait. Okay, well, I'm getting down to the last question.
Okay, here it comes. I'm ready.
If you could be any character from the Ghostbusters franchise, who would you be?
I have never watched the Ghostbusters.
None of them?
None of them.
Okay, that deserves all sorts of comments.
I've never watched Hocus Pocus. I've never watched the Ghostbusters. I've never watched Star Trek.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
Well, I was saving that for last. Yeah, Kayla, I agree wholeheartedly.
But if I can say this, I have seen trailers, so I'd probably be Dan Aykroyd's character.
Okay.
I have
Dan
seen the
Aykroyd.
Yeah, the commercials and the trailers. I have seen that. But my favorite Halloween movie, you know what, Caitlin? I don't watch the typical Halloween movies. I don't watch like the Freddy Kruegers and the whatever those are. I watch the old, I'm dating myself, the old like 1960s, The Blob and The Thing from Outer Space. And but my very favorite scary movie of all time is the Town That Dreaded Sundown. If you've ever seen that, 1974 is when it came out. I went to drive-in theater with my sister and my brother. But that's one of the scariest movies I think I have ever watched, I've ever seen. And that story is real, which makes it crazier. All right, what are y'all saying about me? I need an intervention.
Yep.
Marshmallow, no.
No, so part of the Ghostbuster movies is they had Slimer, which was the green ghost that
Oh, that they sucked up. Didn't they suck him up through something? Don't they suck him up through a vacuum cleaner or something?
well, it's their equipment.
Yeah. Because I have seen like the trailers, that kind of thing.
And the Marshmallow Man was one of the things they had to take down. It was a very large,
I haven't watched it.
sticky. Me personally, my favorite character from it was, and I can't even think of what her name is. I just drew a blank, but it was their secretary that had the biggest crush on Egon. She was just so sassy. I just really liked her. Dawn says
you're talking about, but I don't know what you're talking about. Proton
Dawn
pack,
says
yeah.
you need to. Huh?
Now, the proton pack. Now I know he wore that because I saw that in the trailer.
Don't cross the streams.
Okay.
And Dawn says you better put it on your movie list to watch. Let's see. She plays Pennywise very well.
Yeah, I do. I do. And I have a flashlight, my red hair all going all over. Yeah, betcha.
The original Night of the Living Dead. I've never watched that one.
I have seen that, Kayla. That's fabulous. That's fabulous. Children of the Corn. I've seen that one too.
Let's see what else we got. Next night, overnight trip. Annie Potts. Oh, that's it. There you go. Annie Potts. That's her name. That's the actress's name. Thank you, Bev. But yeah.
So you watched our top 10 movie or Halloween list today. Yep.
Yep. And I like the psychological thrillers, the ones that you're just like, ooh, that's kind of one of those that just might happen.
Yeah. And
what lies beneath.
I like the Stephen King movies too. He's got that new series on Netflix. Dawn, I think you mentioned that. I don't remember what the name of it is. It's got a one-word name, I think, but it just came out on Netflix. But that's his series has come out.
Yes. But those are all the questions.
All right. Let's throw up our social media for just a moment. In case y'all don't know how to get where we are, how to see us, this is how you can find us, right? We're just kind of everywhere. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Odyssey, MeWe, Rumble, as Midwest Ghost Hunters. And of course, just say boo on Facebook. Whoops. Hold, please.
I said that at work. I got some new employees. I said that at work the other day, and they're like, were you ever a stage manager? Because they say that all the time.
Yes.
And I'm like, no. I said I started saying it a couple of years ago, and now I've got several people saying it.
Okay, let's talk about what we've got upcoming.
Okay.
So, tomorrow, we're going to do a private home up north Missouri. October the 20th, I believe we're going to the Mason House up in Iowa. And then I thought we were done after that for the year, but we just had a request from a historical society up in northern Missouri that we investigated back in 2015 or 16. It's been a few minutes ago. They have asked that we come back. So I am going to put that on the schedule for November because they're close. They're within about 2.5 hours of here. So I want to go ahead and get them taken care of because this is the second time this year they've asked us to come up. So I think we really need to get that taken care of. And that, I would like to say, is going to be our last hunt of the year.
As of right now.
As of right now, yeah. Because, like I said, the Mason House on the 20th of October was going to be our last one. And then these folks just contacted us today and said, will you come back up? So it's like, yeah, we will come back up. So we'll do that in November. I am working on the 2024 schedule. We did have a pretty fruitful year this year. And of course, we'll do a wrap up in December like we always do. But we had a pretty fruitful year this year. We went to several brand new locations. A couple of them didn't work out very well, but we learned some lessons. We learned some lessons. We learned what our tolerance level is.
We've learned that we have some baseline needs.
Yes, we have some baseline needs. So I am working on the 2024 schedule. We're going to start in February, and I'm all the way through into July now. My focus next year wants to be, I want it to be on hospitals. I'd like to do some hospitals. So we've got Yorktown Hospital in Texas on the list. We've got Williamsburg, West Virginia on the list. We'll see what other ones we can throw in there. But that's what we've got going on, folks. What am I missing, Michelle? Anything?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Look at you go.
Yeah, well. So I want to say thanks again to y'all for hanging out with us on a Friday night at the Michelle and Marcia Lounge. Hope you enjoyed the music. For those of you that could hear it, I know, Bev, you said you couldn't hear it. It's not playing very loud. But anyway, we just wanted to try something a little bit different. And we will check in. Now, I want to tell you about the Mason House. The Mason House is in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. So we probably will not have cell signal up there. So that will be a not live feed. So we won't be doing a live feed from the Mason House, but I'll still give you all the scoop on it. And I do want to encourage you all to go out onto the YouTube channel or Rumble, whichever one you want to do, and check out the video, the Spirit Box session from Pine Lawn Manor. We were very, very surprised that we got anything. Pine Lawn, I enjoyed the hunt, but the roof leaked incessantly during the storm. We had a horrific thunderstorm while we were there. And
we had tornado warnings going off around us. That's how horrific it was.
It was bad. And they have got a horrible roof leak, more than they know. They knew the roof leak.
But great drainage.
Great drainage. Yeah, because because it literally the building filled up with water. But within 10 minutes after the rain stopped, the water was gone. Where it went, we have no idea, but it was gone. It was gone. But we had a really great Spirit Box session, or Michelle did.
Dawn and Christy were.
Dawn and Christy, yeah. Y'all had one there in the locker room. While I was out where it was nice and dry and warm in the Boomobile. But if you haven't seen that video,
statement, just saying.
One of these days, I will let a picture of me making my fashion statement be published. But for now, no, because hiking boots and black shorts, when you're carrying around a little bit too much weight, is not what you want people to see.
Oh, goodness.
But anyway, check that out if you haven't already, because they had some really good interaction. And I guess that's it, folks. Again, thank you so much. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. And until next time, just say boo.